Today, we're diving into a technology that has genuinely revolutionized molecular biology. It's a tool so precise, so powerful, that it gives us the ability to rewrite the very code of life. This isn't science fiction. This is the story of CRISPR/Cas9. So what on earth does CRISPR even mean? Well, it's an acronym. It stands for Clustered Regularly Interspaced Short Palindromic Repeats. Yeah, it's a bit of a mouthful, I know, but that name actually gives us some really important clues about the unique genetic structures that make this whole thing possible. But here's what's truly mind-blowing about its origin. This incredible technology wasn't dreamed up in some futuristic lab. It was discovered. It's actually an ancient, super effective immune system that bacteria have been using for millions of years to fight off viruses. So you see, we didn't invent it. We just figured out how to use it. All right, here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll look at the core components of the system. Then, we'll see how those molecular scissors actually work. After that, we'll explore the incredible real-world applications, tackle the huge ethical questions, and finally, look ahead to what's next for gene editing. Okay, so let's pop the hood and take a look at the two essential parts that make CRISPR-Cas9 tick. Once you get these two, you really start to understand how this system can be so incredibly precise. So, component number one is an enzyme called Cas9. The easiest way to think about Cas9 is as a pair of tiny programmable molecular scissors. Its job is to find a specific spot on a DNA strand and just snip. It makes a clean cut. But, and this is the important part, it doesn't just cut anywhere. It has to be told exactly where to go. And that's where our second component comes in. You see, scissors need someone to hold them, right? Well, that's the job of the guide RNA, or gRNA. You can think of it like a biological GPS coordinate. Scientists can program this little piece of RNA to match any DNA sequence they want. It then grabs onto the Cas9 scissors and leads them directly to that precise spot in the genome. So now we know the players, the Cas9 scissors and the guide RNA. Let's watch how they actually work together. The whole process is a really elegant step-by-step mechanism. It all starts when scientists design a guide RNA to match a specific gene they want to target. That guide RNA then links up with the Cas9 protein, and together they form the complete editing tool. This little complex then goes into a cell and starts scanning all of the DNA, and it keeps searching until it finds the exact sequence that matches the guide RNA. Once it locks on, bam, the Cas9 scissors make a clean cut through both strands of the DNA. And from there, the cell's own natural repair systems take over. Now, this can go two ways. The cell can just stitch the DNA back together, which usually disables the gene, or, and this is where the real magic is, scientists can supply a new piece of DNA and the cell will use that as a template to fix the break, effectively rewriting the genetic code right at that spot. Okay, so that's the how. But what about the what? This beautifully simple mechanism has already opened the door to a mind-boggling number of applications. Let's take a look at how CRISPR is already being used to rewrite the code of life in medicine, agriculture, and even basic research. In medicine, the results are just profound. We now have the very first approved CRISPR therapy, called Casgevy, which is a functional cure for sickle cell disease. That's not a treatment, that's a cure. Beyond that, it's being used to supercharge a patient's own immune cells to fight cancer. And there is groundbreaking research happening on everything from HIV to inherited blindness and muscular dystrophy. And this revolution isn't just happening in hospitals, it's happening out in the fields too. In agriculture, scientists are using CRISPR to create crops that can resist diseases or survive a drought, all while producing more food. They're even using it to improve traits in livestock. This is all about helping to create a more resilient and secure global food supply. And of course, for the scientists doing fundamental research, CRISPR is now an absolutely essential part of their toolkit. It lets them create incredibly accurate models of human diseases in the lab. They can finally figure out what individual genes actually do. It's speeding up the search for new drugs and allowing for these massive studies that just weren't possible a few years ago. But of course, a tool this powerful, a tool that lets us edit the very essence of life, forces us to confront some really difficult questions. With the ability to alter the blueprint of any organism, we have to talk about the ethical implications. And really, that's the question we all have to grapple with. Now that we can fundamentally change the building blocks of life, what are the consequences of wielding that power? There are a few major areas of concern. The big one is germline editing. That means making changes to human embryos that can be passed down to all future generations. That's a huge one. Then there are the technical worries about off-target effects, basically the risk of making accidental cuts elsewhere in the DNA. And then you have the societal questions. Who gets access to this? Could it make inequality worse? And what about the risk of it being misused, maybe even as a weapon? To make that access and equity question really hit home, just look at this number. The cost for a single course of treatment with Casgevy, that sickle cell cure, it's about $2.2 million. So we've created this incredible, life-changing cure, but at a price that makes it completely out of reach for almost everyone who needs it. And that gets to the heart of the dilemma. We are building this amazing future where we can cure genetic diseases, but we have to ask ourselves, who actually gets to live in that future? Are these breakthroughs going to help everyone, or will they just create an even wider gap between the haves and the have-nots? Now, despite these huge challenges, the legacy of CRISPR is already cemented, and the technology itself is moving forward at an unbelievable pace. So for our last section, let's look at the recognition it's received and what the future might hold. Just how important is this? Well, in 2020, Doudna Emmanuelle Charpentier won the Nobel Prize in chemistry, and I love the beautiful simplicity of the citation. It was awarded simply for the development of a method for genome editing. And the field isn't slowing down, not at all. The next generation of tools like base editing and prime editing are even more precise. Scientists are getting closer to what's called in vivo delivery. That's editing genes directly inside a person's body, no lab required. And looking even further out, people are talking about using gene drives to reshape entire ecosystems, maybe even bringing back extinct species or creating cancer vaccines tailored to your specific DNA. So what started as just a curiosity about a weird bacterial immune system has become, without a doubt, humanity's most powerful tool to read, rewrite, and repair the code of life.